Hey, Bulldogs. We are here at the meat market here in Mount Vernon. This is Mr. Scher. Everyone say hi to Mr. Scher.
Hello, hi Bulldogs.
And we have Mr. O.
How's it going, guys?
And we are the Mount Vernon High School Music Department. We're missing one, but we're here. Our first time, Mr. Scher is going to be going to the Mexican meat market now, so I'm excited to go to the Mexican meat market, but there's more to the Mexican meat market. Mr. O, what do you think he needs to expect when he goes to the meat market for the first time?
I think, first of all, he needs to experience some of the greatest candy this planet has to offer humanity, and also some of the best prime cuts of meat you can find anywhere in town.
So what's really cool is part of our Hispanic Heritage Celebration is that we are going to be supporting Hispanic local businesses right here in Mount Vernon, because this is an establishment that's been here for many, many years that serves our community. And I thought I would bring these two guys to check out today's store. So we're going to be checking out candy, meat. Here we go. So this is Mr. Scher's first time here at Los Amigos meat shop. And so how different is this from Safeway or Costco or?
Well, everything looks really kind of fresh, and there's a lot of new stuff I've never seen before, so I'm excited to kind of learn a little bit more and try some good food.
Okay, Mr. O is going to show us what this is over here. He's an expert.
So we got some flanes over here, some great desserts, and of course just generic cakes, but the flan is what you really want to be focused on these shelves.
Flanes?
Flan.
Flan.
Yeah, bust one out.
Mr. O, tell the Bulldog community what this is.
Okay, so this is actually a traditional Mexican dessert. It's lightly sweetened. It's not like cake though. It's much softer. And when you dig into it, it just kind of slices through like a hot knife through butter. Even if you're just using a spoon.
I'll take two.
Best stuff ever. There you go.
Oh, you got to tell them what this is. Come on, Mr. O, you got to tell them.
We have here some hot chorizo for your breakfast to go along with your eggs.
Ooh.
Just kind of mash that up, mix that in with your scrambled eggs, the spices. Ooh, perfecto.
So one of the breakfast staples for Mexican families is chorizo con huevo. Chorizo con huevo is the best. You have eggs and you stick some of this. It's the best on there. Mr. Scher's going to get a cart next episode on here. This is probably my favorite and Mr. O's favorite, and Mr. Scher is going to learn all about this area in here. This is so cool. We got to get over here to there. Mr. O's I'm going to get some random Mexican candy and you could explain.
Okay, well, before he gets to some of the candy, we really got to talk about this. This is like the ultimate in winter comfort food. Abuelita hot chocolate is, woo, man, that is some of the best stuff. So if you're Abuelita hot chocolate's the way to go. And then, of course, you got to have some like cookies to balance out the flavor of that. These are not overly sweetened a lot of the time, like these guys, but that's what you got to have. Barros, those ones are fantastic. Those with the Abuelita hot chocolate, that's the way to go. All right.
Good thing it's not warm out right now.
Yeah. Good thing it's not warm.
No, but we eat hot chocolate in hot weather. It doesn't matter. We'll have it in hot weather. It could be 100 degrees outside and we'll eat hot chocolate. It's good. It's un cafecito, cafecito. So what this part is the Mexican candy section. This is a kid's dream on here. This is Mr. O's dream right here. This is good for a dentist to see all this stuff, because this is like extra sugar on there. So we're gonna we'll pick out some, and I'll have Mr. O explain some of these delicious stuff. Here you go,
so,
Mr. O.
These things, these bad boys, that is just like sweets on the inside covered in spice. So you'll notice a lot of Mexican candy is just basically sweet, fruity type flavors with some chili powder or some kind of spice on the outside. Contrast the flavors. So that's the way we go.
And then tell them you got to tell them about the spoons.
Oh, and the spoons, that's basically just like, again, same thing. Sometimes a little bit of spice, but caramel or caramel, whichever pronunciation you prefer, with a lot of spice. So you just give that to your kid and they just take a mouthful of it.
It's really good stuff. You gotta have,
Can I give it to my 3-year-old?
You can definitely give it to your 3-year-old. He might get hooked on spices.
Oh no.
And then this is the world famous gum.
Chiclets.
This is chiclets on there. So chiclets is sold in the street in Mexico, and it's also the staple gum for Mexico. So you call them chicles, and you might hear in the street chicles. Chicles is just because this is the gum of Mexico. I mean, it's good stuff, right, Mr. O? I love it on there.
We got to talk about one before we leave this.
Okay, show us.
We got to talk about mazapan.
Okay, you
Okay,
going to talk about
so de la rosa mazapan. So mazapan is kind of like a crumbly, powdery, sweet treat, and it comes wrapped in its own individual wrapper. And the challenge for little kids, especially, well, challenge for adults even, is if you can unwrap it without it crumbling apart. That way you can take one clean, crisp bite of it and feel it melt in your mouth. Oh, phenomenal. Throw them in. Let's go.
Yeah, okay, Mr. O is a chef. He knows how to cook all this stuff on there. So we got to show him what this is. Mr. O, why don't you tell him what this is? It's pretty cool.
Lucas, this stuff is just kind of like a powdered spicy candy. So there's just like powdered sugar with a little bit of spices in there. And kids sometimes use those on top of fruit, but sometimes they'll eat it plain too. So there's fun little sugary, spicy treats. Yeah.
So this is Jarritos. Jarritos is like the Mexican soda on there. Maybe Mr. O could talk about which is his favorite Jarrito.
Jarritos comes in all kinds of different fruity flavors. It's just Mexican sodas basically, and a lot of times they're made with actual cane sugar instead of like high fructose corn syrup like American sodas. But one of my favorites actually isn't even Jarritos, even though they have a flavor. It's this stuff right here. Ciudad Mundet. This is I'm gonna take one of these home with me. This is apple soda, and if you're from Central Washington that grows a lot of sodas, a lot of apples, I mean, or if you're like me from Chihuahua that also grows a lot of apples, apple soda is like one of the best products. So I'm taking one of these for refreshment for lunch.
We're all going to take one home. Okay, we're going to go to the next part. So what you will find in any Mexican market is the piñatas. Like I've been to Walmart and the piñatas are so small, really good. So I know this is Mr. O's favorite part. Right over here, the spices.
This is the spices and the hot sauces. Like when you think of Mexican food, this is like what everything's seasoned with right here. It's like a combination of this and the stuff we saw at the beginning. So tajin, of course, is great on some on fruit, like some watermelon in the summer. Oh, so refreshing. But one of my favorites is actually the Pato brand hot sauce. You throw some corn chips in there in the morning. You can make some chilaquiles with your eggs. Excellent stuff. It's good stuff.
Then, of course, this is the number one seasoning that's everywhere. You know, they have tapatio. What do you like about tapatio?
It's got just the right amount of burn, but tons of flavor. That's the way to go. Plus, of course, the iconic branding. Who could ever mistake that for anything but tapatio?
Yeah. So, what do you think of this store? You already been through like 3 or 4 rows. What do you think, Mr. Scher?
Well, I've driven by here a lot, but I've never come on in, and now it's not, scary or just something different, and now I feel a lot more comfortable coming back here and trying some new things. I'm really excited about it.
So, I'm telling you, Bulldogs, if you've never been here, you need to come. Don't be afraid. You don't need to speak Spanish. You don't need to be Mexican. You don't need to be Hispanic to come to this store, because Mr. Scher obviously is going to spend over $100 today on buying some great Mexican food, but it's also supporting a Hispanic-owned local business, and we need to support our community by going to these stores. So we're going to go to the next part, which is the restaurant. And this is cool, maybe because Mr. O has eaten here hundreds of times. And why don't you talk about the restaurant? What's your favorite part of going to the restaurant?
All right, so if you go to any Mexican restaurant, like authentic Mexican tacos are the best part about it. And here we have all kinds of different varieties of meat. Now, the biggest part about Mexican restaurants is the varieties of meat you can get on your tacos. You can have just about any flavor you want. And of course, a taco is just meat and dressings in a tortilla. You can make it out of just about anything. So we're going to try to order in Spanish here with Mr. Scher.
Yes. So he's going to order something, and I don't know. So there's different kinds. So Mr. Scher, these are tons of different kind of meat. There's beef, pork, chorizo, like what you saw earlier. There's also pollo, which is chicken, but there's also some really unique ones, which is called lengua, which is the beef, the tongue of the cow. So if you want to try that, or there's pescado, which is fish, and there's tripas, which is the beef, the intestines of the cow, and then there's also camarón, which is shrimp. So here we go.
Muy bien. 2 tacos de lengua. Gracias. Dos.
See, he knows Spanish. What is he talking about? He muy poquito, right?
Muy poquito. Muy poquito.
Okay, so, I mean, how cheap is that? $2.50 per taco. You can't beat that. You can't beat it, and it's right here in Mount Vernon. So, are you ready to try tacos de lengua?
I'm excited.
Like this. What are these things? Okay, this is called chicharrón, and chicharrón is sort of like pork rinds, but I'm going to let Mr. O explain it because he's so good at explaining the food.
If you've ever had pork rinds, this is basically the same thing. But generally, when you have actual like chicharrones, they're not as dry as like American pork rinds. They're a little bit softer with a bit of that crunch once you get to the center, and just a little bit fattier. So I think they're delicious.
Tell 'em what
Yeah.
it is.
So this whole thing is like pork fat, and then it's been like fried, and it's like got a crispy texture to it. But if you get American pork rinds, they're always really dried out. And if you get that bagged stuff from like generic grocery stores, it's fake pork rinds. This is the real thing.
This is good stuff.
All right. Now, fun fact about Mr. Cher. This is an introduction to a big part of his culture because Mr. Cher is actually a quarter Mexican. His grandma is from Coahuila. And I didn't know that until 2 years after I met him. I thought it was amazing. My mind was blown. So, congrats, Mr. Cher here, embracing a big piece of his culture.
He loves it. Mucha gente, a lot of families are from the state of Michoacan, and this is the staple ice cream for Michoacan. Okay, over here, and they're different flavors. And I know Mr. Cher needs to add this to his collection on here, but my favorite is, let me see. Oh, I like the fresa. This is strawberry. And so why don't you talk a little bit about La Michoacana and the ice cream?
So, La Michoacana is a particular brand of it, but Michoacan, the state, is very, very well known for their ice cream. And a lot of times you see paleteros, ice cream guys, out on the streets in Mexico selling popsicles. And unlike American ice creams that are like vanilla and chocolate, most Mexican ice creams are based on fruits. Like we got lime flavors, we got strawberry flavors, we got orange flavors, mango flavors. We got banana, we got all sorts of these fruit flavors that are a little bit on the sweeter side without adding much sugar. So Michoacan, best ice cream around. It's the best you can get.
So Bulldogs, this is Mr. O, Mr. Cher, Mr. Rivera. We're all saying, are you excited?
I'm excited. I'm heading back right now. This is going to be my my dinner tonight.
Free carne asada, can you believe
Carne
it?
asada. What a great local business owned by a local family here in Mount Vernon.
Yeah, so please, the best way to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month is to support your local Hispanic business. Any final words, Mr. O?
No, that's it. I think we've had a great experience. It's a great store. Like Hispanic and Mexican food is the best stuff around, in my opinion. So I'm glad we got to share a little piece of that culture for Hispanic Heritage Month.
Bye, Bulldogs.